Nevada.
So this part goes inside of your vagina and this part goes on top of the clit.
He's more the kind of chill guy, you know?
The toilet?
No, right there.
Yeah, all the guys you've been around are terrible.
Bitch.
So choose.
So we are like, this one.
Just because you fell in love, maybe, in the sauna.
Crazy.
Ow! Ow! I mean, fuck this guy, really.
Ooh, hottie.
Berlin, one snowy December Sunday. Now don't take this too romantically. There's actually a huge thing about the winter here. The Berlin blues sets in. No sun for weeks. It's grey all day. Sometimes you'll be looking out the window not knowing if it's 11 a.m. or 3 p.m. I blame no one who can't take this. But for me, this one grey day in December, none of this mattered. I woke up feeling like a queen. Like everything about me was just right. I had this spark in my eyes, this naturally amused laugh, and I felt sexy. Yes, guys, this is what I call a hormone high. I took a long Sunday shower and put cream on my body. My skin felt so soft, I couldn't wait for someone to touch it. I was sitting on my sofa with a towel around me and grabbed my phone. So, who would I meet today? Dating office time was needed. I opened up Field, my go-to app. I wanted to approach it like a boss bitch. Like I was gonna handle 5 different conversations at the same time, getting all the options out there, just making it happen. 11 a.m. Coffee. Yes, I only need coffee and I will get this shit done. Hormone high, I got you. I always drink my coffee black, and on the weekend, I often drink it with some puffs of a joint on the side. Yes, here it is again. My guilty pleasure, weed. But you know, I thought I could treat myself. After all, weed is a mood enhancer. I would only feel more amazing. Does this thought make me an addict? Or just a capitalist? Who knows? Fact is, a little later, my phone was on the sofa and I was trying on my underwear collection. Nude satin is my favorite. I feel so good in it. I was checking myself out in the mirror when it hit me. Fuck, I don't even have a date yet. I grabbed my phone, opened up Spotify and started looking for the song I really wanted to hear. When I realized, fuck, and now I'm also stoned. All these dating office tasks could be difficult now. Keeping up 5 different conversations and still making sense in all of them? Why can't it just be easy for once? I just want to spend a nice Sunday with someone. All of a sudden, I remembered Aviv. So imagine a David Beckham type, but Israeli. This beautiful skin tone, seemingly tanned from growing up in a glaring sun. Defined lean muscle, thick dark blonde hair, a bit longer on the top, an undercut on the sides, his neck with a neat shave. That's Aviv. Yet if you saw him for the first time, I don't think you'd see any of this. It's his face that catches the attention. On top of his full lips, he has a little mole, like a beauty spot. It gives him such a look. Or more than that, it gives him character. Yes, that's the kind of hottie I was imagining for this Sunday. I could just text him. I grabbed my phone and opened Instagram. His profile was still the same as in 2019, when I first met him. He had this pretty picture of him on his tagged photos, looking in the camera, playing funny, while a baby is pulling his hair. I had seen it before. And today I felt like I could see more. I went into my archived chats in WhatsApp. Hello, this is the close and far future from 2019. What are your plans today? Feel like smoking a joint with me? I pressed send and lit a cigarette. 2 puffs later, my phone vibrated. Hashtag instant gratification. Hey, what a surprising message. I was thinking of you for a while now. I know, I replied. I mean, Instagram told me over my last stories. He had added me a few weeks ago and sent me quite a few likes. I was just in my coffee and joint hour, he said now. You're welcome to join. Yes, this was the solution to me being stoned in my dating office. I jumped straight into an Uber. It was cold outside. The white patches of snow had turned into ice. The temperatures were minus. It was this kind of weather that will easily make you slide down the street and land in one of Berlin's many dog poos on the sidewalk. Only if you're lucky, that would be frozen too. But it was also the kind of weather that gives you water condensation on the windows of a warm room. I always find this sexy, like the sweat running down the body when you have sex. I was hoping for this kind of vibe at Aviv's. I got out of the taxi and rang the door. Before I could get confused about which stairs to choose, remember, I was still stoned, the light in the left staircase turned on. I followed it. It was exciting. Aviv and I hadn't seen each other for 4.5 years. Would he still be the same as I remembered him? Or would he have changed? Did I change? There was a half-open door on the first floor. Music was coming from inside. I approached and entered slowly. An airy Altbau, tall white walls, wooden floors. I was standing in the corridor. And there he was, with a grey t-shirt, the sleeves cut off, showing off his muscles, jogging pants, and a slight smile on his face. Riddle solved. He was just as hot as I remembered. Hey you. We went straight into a hug. It was intense. It felt like a final reunion to me. Like as if actually it had been an external circumstance that led us not to talk with each other all those years. And now we could finally be together again. At least that's how we both acted. We never got out of this hug and pulled each other close. He smelled so good, and I always loved kissing him. It's slow, but in tune. And a bit of a tease often. Just what it takes to get me hot. From there, all communication shifted to physical. Minutes later, my lingerine was open in the bottom and his grey jogging pants were on the floor. There wasn't much foreplay needed. We went straight to the point. My last hormone high I had spent with my toy box. My friend developed sex toys, and she had given me a really interesting new vibrator. It looks like a swordfish. You put it on the sofa, sit on it, and move around how you like. Clit stimulation. I had a lot of fun, but still. No sex toy will give you the feeling of somebody touching you. Somebody being close to you. Inside of you, in this case. We were really feeling each other. Both stoned, Our movements were slow and intense. I wanted to go on forever like this. Sometime later, I was lying on Avi's chest, listening to his lungs blowing out air on high speed. "Fuck, I forgot how good it feels with you," he said. I had just thought the same. We opened some cremant. Sex, weed, cremant. What a Sunday. This was the best text to get on a day like this. He smiled at me. I had made him so happy. And also myself. He had his arm around me, stroking me slightly with his right hand on my shoulder. His touch made me feel so safe. I remembered I had always felt like that with him. And now I was revisiting the past. I don't even know what happened with us in the end. I just remember there was something about the sex with you, he said after a long silence. Yes, there was something about the sex with us. It was good. I smiled at him. No, seriously, what happened? I sat up and grabbed my phone. Read. I opened up our WhatsApp chat and showed it to him. Ah, now I know what you meant in your text. Close and far future from 2019. Yes, in May 2019, his last message to me was a goodbye text. I had told him that I wanted more than a bad story and that I didn't see this happening with him. At the time, he had always given me this no strings attached talk. Like, whenever we saw each other, he repeated it. I'm not in a situation to have a relationship now. Blah, blah, blah. But his words never matched up with how he acted. There had always been this boyfriend vibe. It felt like he actually wanted me. And I also ended up wanting him back in 2019. But no matter how nice the time we spent together was, in the end, it was always like, please don't get attached. I'm not looking for a relationship. It had hurt me that he never even seemed to consider me at all. I was quick back in the day. After 2 weeks of seeing him, I knew this story wouldn't make me happy. So I messaged goodbye. I have the feeling we will have more of each other in the close or far future, he replied. I mean, yes, romantic in a way, but I had also just told him that what he was offering was not what I wanted, and that I had decided against it. With his reply, he was kind of telling me, no worries, I'm sure you will go against what you want again in the future. It had annoyed me at the time. I had never met him after that, but I also never really forgot about him. And apparently neither did he. Now, us both naked on the sofa, he was happy reading his old message. Yes, I knew it, he smiled. Well, I had to give him that. In the end, he was right. This December Sunday, we were having more of each other. But how long would I last this time? More than 2 weeks? Or had the conditions changed? We smoked more weed, had more sex, drank more cremant. I felt like we were in a time capsule. Endless Sunday. His touch was warm and loving. Our bodies seemed to be in perfect union. He started kissing me on the forehead and pulling me close. It doesn't feel like that with anybody else, he whispered. Ah, honey for my soul. He never told me something like that back in the day. I was lying on his chest, listening to his heart beating. It was so intimate, and I felt so in place. Whatever had happened in 2019, maybe now was our time. It felt like I had entered the most romantic daydream. We spent all afternoon between the sofa and the bed, making each other feel good. At some point, I looked at my phone. It was suddenly midnight. Stay here if you like. I had to be in the office the next day. It wasn't gonna be the best look to crawl in smelling of sex, wearing a short skirt and overknees. So I said goodbye. See you very soon. An Uber later, I sat on my sofa smoking a cigarette, feeling proud of myself. I couldn't have been more successful with my plans this Sunday. And I was also on track with my plans the next day. Boss bitch mode. Aviv wasn't this makes you wait to make you hot kind of person. He messaged me straight Monday morning. I was on my way to work and the only one smiling in the S-Bahn while a grey soup was clouding the sky outside. You made my eye better. He sent me a picture of him in his car, his brown eyes looking as pretty as always. Oh shit, I forgot about this eye thing. I opened up the camera in my phone. Yesterday, Aviv's right eye was a bit red and swollen. Only slightly, but enough for him to discuss it with me upon arrival. This was the only conversation we had before we kissed and everything else happened. He was like, I have this eye thing, I don't think it's infectious, I have it every now and again. Okay, some kind of eye thing, I thought. I had to think of my friend in London years ago. He caught this thing called viral conjunctivitis. He had gotten it from using a colleague's phone at work. In the course of a week, his constantly tearing eye had swollen up so much, his whole face was in on it. He looked so scary that even criminals were afraid of him. I swear, it saved him from getting robbed one day. So, was I onto the same destiny? I'll take the risk, I had said yesterday. Now I switched my phone to selfie mode. Nothing to be seen. Yes, I thought. Here is to trusting the universe. It's good to remember that not everything bad that can happen will happen. So the risk of getting a terrible eye infection passed me. But I couldn't help but wonder if that was the only risk I had taken by meeting Aviv. I went straight from work to his place. We couldn't seem to get enough of each other. Sex and grapes. He always had fruit in a silver bowl on the table for me. He fucked me and then we ate grapes. Oh, life is sweet sometimes, even on Mondays. Then came Tuesday. It was the third day in a row Aviv and I spent together. This time he was going to visit me in my flat. Time to dress up. My fashion concept? Easy access. I'm a firm believer in short skirts when it comes to this. When he rang, we went straight from the door to the kitchen. I was supposed to make tea when all of a sudden I wasn't wearing underwear anymore. It was so hot. I love this spontaneous vibe we always had. We just always wanted to be naked together. A little later, we sat down in my living room. The candle on the table was flickering every now and again. It all felt very Christmassy all of a sudden. Before Aviv arrived, I had just finished my Christmas cookie action. I had made vanillekipferl. You know those? I ask my mom every year to send me the recipe and then lose it until next Christmas comes. It's basically, I guess, like all cookies, a lot of butter, sugar, flour, ground nuts, and some vanilla. But this kind is formed into a tiny croissant-like shape, topped with powdered sugar. Anyways. What? Where did you get this recipe from? Aviv asked me after trying. It's Austrian, I said. I mean, Kipferl. Are you sure you're not Jewish? No, seriously. My grandma makes the exact same cookies. Well, come on. I mean, this recipe is a common one. I didn't really understand what he meant. I just laughed a bit and lit my cigarette. But he continued. I mean, do you know for sure that you're not Jewish? Like, do you know your family's history? You know, also in Austria there were people that pretended not to be Jewish in the Second World War. Maybe you're Jewish and you just don't know. What? What a weird thing to say. Like, maybe your culture is actually not your culture and you just don't know? Like, would you suggest someone's family might have changed their identity and then could be found out by their cookie recipe? What a fiction. And what would even be the significance of my cultural background right now? Did it matter to him so much that I'm not Jewish? I didn't entertain this conversation any further. A little later, we switched back to physical. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all these evenings we had spent together. But then came Wednesday. I think I need some time with myself and with my things, he texted me after work. It was no stress. I understood and agreed. Anyways, I'm always guilty of overdoing it in the beginning. So it's good if someone knows how to put the brakes on a bit. We took 2 days off each other. Friday, we met again. He was waiting for me at his place. You know I always like to host, he said. I mean, Friday night in Berlin, we could have gone dancing or done something else exciting. But Aviv was more like a home entertainer. And as I gathered over time, not such a big fan of leaving the house. #420. But at this point, in cold, snowy December, this was no problem for me. I was planning to be on his sofa by 9. On the way home from work, I got myself some new overknee tights. My God, every time I have good sex, I spend so much money on underwear. Does that happen to you too? Well, anyways, this purchase was worth it. I felt so sexy on his sofa a little later. Aviv took entertaining serious. He started to look through some vintage vinyls for me. Once the record was playing, he moved along the room to a sideboard, next to a big TV. So, it's Friday. He opened the cupboard. I still have some Coke if you want. Well, ask many people in Berlin that. You know the answer. It didn't take long, and we were in a heated argument. Yes, you know how it is. All of a sudden, everything you say with so much passion. No matter what you talk about. your neighbor's cat, the house Bob Dylan lived in when he was 10, Czechoslovakia. It can be anything. That said, the topic we were now discussing wouldn't have needed any add-on passion. Aviv was Israeli, and in 2023, this meant quite something. You know what's coming. I'm sure you had it on your Instagram stories as well. Some people posting for the Palestinians, others posting for Israel. I'm actually proud to have both people on my feed. Where I'm standing, Aviv was about to ask me. I don't understand why everybody is hating on Israel, he said. We're killing these terrorists that killed us. There's no other way with them. War is never a way. It can never be the way. But we don't want war. Nobody wants war. But look, the Israeli army is the most ethical army in the whole world. We don't want anything bad to the Palestinian people. I don't want anything bad to them. I mean, look at me. I'm not a violent person. I'm a peaceful person. You know me a bit now. Aviv, I know, but not everybody in your country is like you. Our conversation ended with this sentence. I guess it's hard to argue against it. Or the coke had just ended. The record had finished playing a while ago. Aviv now got up and went back to his vinyl. I was sitting on the sofa, lighting the joint that he had just rolled, and watched him go through his records. I knew it. He needed me to be on his side with this. It's his country, like this feeling of where you grew up will always be your home, where you came from. If it's in danger, you will fight for it, no matter what. I understand. But this wasn't my fight, and I also saw the other side. I was lost in my thoughts when he sat back down next to me. He took me in his arms and kissed me. Our conversation went into another direction again. It was close-off time. We always took that serious too. After a Saturday between the bed and the sofa, it was time to say goodbye. The night train to my Christmas holidays was leaving around 8 p.m. I was already a little nervous because I was so stoned and I had to pack everything that I needed to take to Austria. Really, sometimes weed can make your life so difficult. At the wardrobe, Aviv was helping me to get into my coat. What an old school gentleman, yet he was around my age. I wonder if I'm gonna see you again, I said when I turned back around to him. Yes, so dramatic. But you know me. I'm a wounded soul in this area. Remember, Colin? Of course we're gonna see each other. We stay in touch. I will miss you. I want you here with me again. That's one thing you have to give Aviv. He always made me feel wanted. I was all loved up when I got on the train. On a high bench with clean white linen. Yes, sorry for the advertising, but the Austrian night trains are amazing. I fell asleep with a smile on my face. He wanted me, and I wanted him. Over the next 3 weeks, we were keeping daily contact. I was spending Christmas with my family. He went to Israel for New Year's. Every day, we asked after each other and sent photos back and forth. My pictures were of mountains, cuddled up in bed, walking through Vienna. He sent photos in the sun, building something in the yard of his parents' house close to the beach. I don't know if this is a very feminist thing to say, but men that can do handiwork turn me on. We exchanged quite a few sexy texts and videos. I also kept listening to one voice message that he had sent me when he was still in Berlin. I miss you around, honestly. I don't know, I don't feel like meeting anyone. I'm just at home, waiting to go to Israel to get some sun. 'Cause the weather here is killing me. But with you around, it was a bit better. Didn't I tell you? The Berlin blues. I also missed him much more when I got back to grey Berlin. It was about to turn 2024 and I was sitting in a room full of people in my sister's flat in Kreuzberg. Out the window, fireworks were throwing glittery lights off the sky. Did we miss it yet? No, another gin tonic. I was a bit sad that Aviv wasn't here with me. I always feel like the people you love, or wanna love, should be with you when the year turns. He was in Israel, but also in Kreuzberg. In my thoughts and my words. My friends interrogated me about him actually. So, are you guys seeing each other now? I had no answer to this. Hey, but Israel is 1 hour ahead. You should text him for New Year's. A little later, for whatever reason, we were recording a video. Ready for my drunk teenager vibe? There we go.
Happy New Year! So, Hag Samir! Hello!
So we're 1 hour ahead, but I was just trying to send you a text, but I got intervened or I got interrupted by somebody who wanted to make up their own text and whatever. Anyways, Happy New Year. Look, I'm all in silver. And I don't know what to say, but I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. My gin tonic was finished. It was midnight. After the usual chaos of getting out the door when everybody's drunk and there is 15 people trying to put on their shoes at the same time, we stood in front of the house. Skalitzer Straße, Kreuzberg's Broadway, think without the musicals, was full of little groups of people. Everybody was shouting, drinking bubbles, congratulating each other. From the sky fell glittering lights. Yeah, no matter how far down the road we go concerning climate change, fireworks never seem to die out. They always remind me of shooting stars. Almost as if you could make a wish, watching them drizzle down from above. My wish this night was always the same. For me and Aviv to be together. So 2024 it was. January started full on. I went into the edit with a film that I had shot over the last 6 months. It was a lot of footage, a lot of options, a lot of decisions. I was through my first week of editing when Aviv was finally on the plane back from Israel. Sunday. This was always my favorite day to meet him. It was 2 p.m. when I rang the door to his apartment. It had been 4 weeks since we met that grey December Sunday. 1 hormonal cycle. So guess what? I was back on my hormone high. We did everything just like we always did it. On his sofa, in his bed. We had so much sex. I never count, but I would almost say once every hour. As usual, his bed smelled of freshly washed linen. He never was amazing at cleaning his house, but the bed was always perfect. We were naked under the blanket, lying in each other's arms. The lamp on the bedside table was throwing dim light in our direction. Just like always. But something was different. Looking at him, I realized I felt less smiley. As if some of the lightness had faded for me. I had missed him all this time. So many of my thoughts I spent on him. Now lying in his arms, I felt anxious. It wasn't just fun and games anymore. I knew very well I could be hurt. And I also knew this man holding me had done so before. Scary, right? But I'm not the one to run away in these situations. Let's just say I have a different coping mechanism. I just try to be perfect, so he cannot let go of me. Gotcha, fear of abandonment. After each of his orgasms, I was scratching his back, holding him close to me, caressing his hair, making him feel like he was the only one. And he was, for me. Unfortunately, he was also the only one having orgasms. Trying to be perfect in bed rewarded me with not being able to come at all. Well, I guess that's an old story. A woman focused on a man will never come. You just can't let go. It's only half satisfying. But how could I let go? I had nothing to go on, really. I didn't want to be the intense girl asking what this between us is. But at some point, I couldn't get around it anymore. I sat up in the bed and pulled a blanket over my boobs. So how do you feel about us? Guess what? He wanted to have this talk even less than me. I think it's too soon to talk about something like that, he replied. He reached to the bedside table and took a sip of water. He didn't look at me anymore for a while, and I got the message. I decided not to push it any further. A little later, I asked Aviv to roll a really strong joint. I thought that I couldn't feel any of the last ones, but I guess it wasn't that I couldn't feel the weed that day. I just couldn't feel relaxed. Our conversations were spare. We spent the rest of the evening looking at each other without speaking. I would have given a lot to hear the thoughts behind his pretty brown eyes. But of course, he never told me. I woke up in his bed the next day. Morning sex, I love it. With Aviv, you get a double portion. That said, I'm actually more into duration than quantity. So there was more than just one reason why there were no orgasms for me. I offered him to wash the dishes from yesterday. Yes, also the housewife program is part of my anxious routine. Housework for love. God, did I tell you that I grew up in traditional Austria? Show him what a woman is for. Don't worry about it, please. He wouldn't let me do the washing up. We sat down and had a conversation about what looked like the seat of a racing car with some cables coming out. It was standing in the middle of his living room. I had never questioned him about it until now. I understood it was a driving simulator hooked up to some game on his PlayStation, maybe. Big boy toys, I thought. I always wanted to be a race car driver, he said. I always wanted to be a creative, I thought. This conversation didn't bring any harmony either. Morning coffee, and I was on my way to work. When I arrived in a company, I felt weird. I sat down in the edit, opened my laptop, and took a bite of my croissant. This hadn't at all gone the way I was imagining. I was longing for this, oh my god, now we can finally be together conversation. But none of this was said. He had made me compliments about how good it feels to be with me, how he missed sleeping with me and waking up next to me. All of this was there, but there had been no word of any commitment. Yes, tell me I'm intense. It might be, but it was how I felt. And I'm never a fan of pretending. While my editor was fitting music over a scene, I remembered a conversation I had had with Aviv over Christmas cookies in December. So tell me, why did you leave so quickly last time? I guess he had only ever read his own message when I showed him our WhatsApp chat. I felt limited, I said. You put me into a situation where I could never be more than just a temporary person in your life. Remember, the typical no strings attached talk was said. Yeah, I wasn't looking for a relationship back then. And now? I asked. I think I'm interested in an open relationship. Interesting. I had been thinking about this concept for a while too. I mean, monogamy forever? How many people do you know that really works for? I don't know that many. So being a bit more relaxed about it, maybe it can be a good thing. And also, if you're anxious like me, you'll think more lovers, more eggs in the basket. They're not gonna leave you all at once. Sounds safe. So yes, open relationship. Maybe. I still hadn't made up my mind about it. And according to Aviv, it was anyways too early to talk about anything like this. I got lost in my thoughts over the music put on the scene of a woman cycling through Berlin. She was driving down the street, making her way in between cars and delivery vans, all vulnerable to being hit by someone overlooking her. I really could relate. I just felt as vulnerable. Was Aviv gonna overlook me? Were we about to crash? Our last meeting had clearly stirred something in the both of us. We didn't text each other over the next days. I tried to focus on the edit and felt a bit better after having spent some nights in my own bed. On Thursday, Aviv messaged me again. I miss being inside of you, he wrote. I always liked the words he used. This evening, like always, I jumped in an Uber wearing sexy clothes and nice perfume. He was waiting for me at the door. A big smile came over his face when I walked in. He kissed me and put his arms around me for a tight hug. My head was on his shoulder, facing the mirror that was hanging opposite the wardrobe. I could see us both in there. How beautiful we looked together, I thought. I hadn't seen myself like that in a while. Once on the sofa, we went through our natural cycle. Weed, sex, grapes. It felt lighter again in his arms. I had successfully told myself all the last days that it was wrong to expect the past in the future. It wasn't 2019 anymore. Things could be different. We fell asleep, him hugging me from behind. I felt so protected, like someone has my back no matter what. I'm a sucker for loyalty. The next morning, we woke up late. Aviv brought me a coffee to the bathroom while I was putting on my makeup. Fuck, I forgot there's this strike today. Berlin transport, like so often these winter days, was off. The route to work could be difficult now, and arriving late would take valuable time off my last day of edit. I can take you if you like. There we go, race car driver. We walked out the house together. His car was parked around the corner. I didn't know you have a convertible, I said. Not very practical for winter, I thought. But when I got in the passenger seat, I was smiling. Nice man, nice car. It was an automatic. He had his right hand free and reached over ever so often to touch my leg. We were talking random shit about the surroundings we passed. It was funny. A 10 minutes drive later, we stood in front of my work. Thanks so much for taking me. I could actually get used to this. He smiled, and we went in for an intense kiss. It was a real boyfriend-girlfriend moment. I mean, okay, him driving me to work wasn't really such a big thing, but I hadn't had it in a while. It felt like someone was on my side. Someone supporting me. I was all loved up when I opened the door to the edit. We were under pressure to finish the film by the evening, but I was just in such a good mood. Everything came easy to me. Well, I guess that's the vibe when you fall in love. Around lunchtime, Aviv texted me. He always used this melting smiley when we talked about us. Also in his phone, I was Christina melting smiley. It was so nice, he said. Melting smiley. Yes, it made me feel really good, I replied. I like how consistent you are. I never feel like you might not like me again tomorrow. Something I couldn't say about my last encounters. Feels a little bit like a healing. You know a bit about my past now. And I guess we actually all know these ghosting stories. One day you're their favorite, the next day you can't reach them anymore. It had been the usual for me in the last 1.5 years of being single. But Aviv was different. That's such a nice thing to say, he wrote me with a red heart. Then another text. Hope not to ruin it somehow. Instinctively, I knew when I read this, he was about to. I might have just found someone to join us, he texted. Yesterday, we had a conversation about threesomes. The way I imagined this was me and Aviv going out together, chatting up a girl we both liked. I also enjoy women sexually, so I'm open for these kind of things. What I didn't know, Aviv's plan was a bit different. He sent me an Instagram profile. It was a blonde, pretty hot girl. Unlike me, she had big boobs. Nice boobs, I said. They're nice, but not real, Aviv replied. He seemed to know her pretty well. How? I asked. I saw her before I went to Israel one of those days. Usually she has time on Wednesdays. She's cool. Wait a second. Of course. That's why I only ever saw him Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He had a Wednesday girl. And that girl was looking back at me on my phone now. Aviv sent a video. It was just like the ones I had sent him all over Christmas and New Year's. But it wasn't me in the video. It was the Wednesday girl, showing her boobs to the camera, with a sexy look on her face, shuffling her hips from left to right, biting her lip. This video had not been recorded for me. It was made for the man in whose arms I had woken up this morning. For the man that drove me to work and passionately kissed me goodbye. For the man that I had texted with every day the last month. The man that had fucked me more than anyone else in the past year. Just never on Wednesdays. And now I knew why. And I was invited to meet Miss Wednesday this evening. She was coming to Aviv's place. If you like each other, we can have fun. Otherwise, she'll leave again. I was speechless. My stomach started to feel sick. I had 1,000 thoughts in my head, and an editor to my right now asking me for direction. Really, all I wanted was to start crying, but it was not the time for it. I needed to somehow push this away from me. I took a deep breath, closed WhatsApp on my desktop, and went back to the editing program. Minutes later, my phone vibrated. Aviv didn't seem to have the slightest idea about what his message had made me feel. So tonight? He asked. What the fuck? I don't know. Tonight, having sex with this other lover? Which I just found out he had? Could I do that? Get over my ego and my feelings for him? Was that what I needed to do now? Pretend that I was as cool as the Wednesday girl? Could I even say no now? After all, I was the one that put this threesome idea in his head. I felt all so stupid. Why did I ever think I was the only one for Aviv? He had never said anything like that. He never committed himself to anything. He told me that he had missed me so many times, but he never said that I was the only one he was missing. While all these thoughts were crashing down on me, Aviv still seemed to believe that I would enjoy to sleep with him and his other lover. It will be fun. There will be only good and positive energy. All these texts. I need to tell him something. I'm meeting friends tonight. Maybe I'll join you later. I wanted to get out of this conversation, but Aviv wouldn't let me. So maybe cancel your friends? I started sweating. My editor next to me was looking over every now and again while I was typing hastily on my phone. I don't know. Why don't you meet her and I might join you later, or not, depending on how I feel. Aviv still didn't seem to understand much. I still don't know if it's annoying you or turning you on. Annoying me? I would say I was shocked. Too shocked to even make a statement. I'm a bit stressed right now, and I think I need to adjust my attitude. Let's talk later. The weekend starts soon, he replied. I spent the last 2 hours before that weekend frantically looking for footage and desperately trying not to let this whole thing get to me. Are you okay? My editor asked me. I didn't reply to his question. I couldn't let my feelings burst. I found the interview we were looking for. It was around 7 p.m. when I finally arrived in my flat. I put my bag down, locked the door behind me, and immediately started crying. What had just happened? This morning I was all loved up, feeling like I was about to enter this romance, which now, a few hours later, had crashed all over me. All this time that he made me feel so special, I was actually just part of his entertainment program. Never meant to be more. One of many, or two at least. And the worst, Miss Wednesday seemed to be cool with that. She was up for meeting me, having sex with me, while I sat here comparing my boob size to hers. Fuck, what did I get myself into? At this point, I would have gladly exchanged my situation for any eye infection in the world. I'll take the risk, I told Aviv when we met again. Now the risk was playing out. She didn't come yet. You can still decide if it's matching you. She thinks you're super beautiful. Yes, go fuck yourself. I don't need to know how fucking cool this girl handles the situation while I'm sitting here crying. I don't want to know what she thinks about me. I don't want to know her. I don't want any of this in my life. But Aviv wouldn't let go. Around 9:30, I saw no other way than to call him. It was 11 minutes of conversation. So what's up? He asked. It took a long break before I answered. I guess I didn't know you were seeing someone so regularly. What? But we never said we're exclusive. True, we never did. At the same time, we also never talked about how many other people we were seeing on the side. I thought it would make you happy going on an adventure with me. You talked about it with such excitement. I meant us going out together, picking someone up that we both liked, someone we both didn't know yet, not sleeping with another lover of yours that you fuck when I'm not there. Well, but we talked about our relationship being open. You just have to get over it. It's just your ego blocking you. We can all be here in a good vibe. At this point, Aviv, fuck you. First of all, what relationship were we all of a sudden having? Everything was too early to talk about, and now all of a sudden we had a relationship, and I was reminded that it was an open one. And second, don't tell me to get over my ego just so you can have what you want, without ever asking what I need. He never understood my problem. But he understood I was hurt. All right, take your time and I call you tomorrow, okay? I could feel he was now scared of losing me. But I felt I had lost him already. Enjoy your evening, I said when I hung up. I knew while I was sitting on my sofa, dropping tears all over the pillows, he was having sex with the Wednesday girl. What hurt the most was that he had never even considered changing his plans for me, cancelling Miss Wednesday, to take the time to come to me and talk it out. He wouldn't. I guess so much instant gratification had left our emotional connection shallow. And now it had broken. I woke up on the sofa the next day with my eyes swollen. It felt like I had even been crying in my dreams. But now, my rationality had come back. So what are you actually losing here, bitch? I got myself a coffee and grabbed my phone. So I thought about it. I texted. I think it was a pretty bad idea to ask another girl, did you fuck when you're not fucking me, to join us for a threesome. Only if I really didn't care about you, that would have worked. But I started to care, because we exchanged so much in the last month. So yes, meeting one of your other girls poses an ego problem. Which I guess could be worked on, but I always just get to the same question. Why? In the end, we don't have much in common apart from sex and weed. The melting smiley next to my name had evaporated. After all these tears, I wasn't hung up on the thought of being in his arms anymore. I could finally see a bit clearer. Did you realize that I told you very little about the kind of conversations Aviv and I had? What entertained us apart from sex? You know why? Because there wasn't that much. Our main force was sex. Good sex, intimate sex, but not much else. It took me all this time to bring these puzzle pieces together. I'm not the wife of a race car driver, and he's not the husband of a compulsive creative. Yes, guys, I still believe in marriage, but may a hippie priest do it for me. Anyways, I don't want kids. He wants a family. I want to be equal. He likes his male place of knowing best. I want to use weed as a tool. He takes it as his everyday company. We just weren't the best match. It took a bit more messaging back and forth over the next week until he came to a similar conclusion than me. I agree with most things you wrote. I like you a lot beyond your sexuality, but I honestly think if our sex was not so great, we wouldn't have thought about it. There are no nice words to say the truth sometimes. The unfortunate thing is that physical harmony can make you fall in love, but without a mind alike, you won't end up loving a person. So in a way, it was good that the Wednesday girl showed up. She made me understand that sex was all that Aviv and I ever had. She was a reminder that intimacy, no matter how good it feels, doesn't mean love. I gotta go, I gotta go. No more to show, no more to show. I gotta go, I gotta go. No more to show, no more to show. I gotta go, I gotta go. No more to show, no more to show. Aviv and I never met again. I still think of him sometimes, and it feels wrong to break our story down like that. 'Cause in the end, some magic did happen between the two of us. And I like to think of it as something that was never supposed to stay. And I also think there's somebody out there that fits me better than him. So bring it on, life.